We all know who these guys are. Many of us might even know where they are in these shots. Of course, it's the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships. And what good would it be if you can't even get such celebrities on your matches as an audience? But here's the thing, UFC wasn't like this from the beginning. Obviously, it had to start at some point and climb its way to the top, outshining WWE and other big sports. But to think all this was accomplished by one man sounds like blowing smoke. Well, it's not. But where did the UFC originate from? And how did it achieve all its fame? Well, all answers lie in the story of Dana White. This guy, now known for his I don't give a personality, wasn't always in the spotlight. In fact, he was a nobody until he shook up the world of mixed martial arts and changed it forever. Dana White's childhood was a mess. Being born in 1968, he entered a world that was already struggling with deep societal issues. But the real battle was at home, where Dana's father prioritized drinking and getting intoxicated over his family. His mother had a much more noble profession of a nurse and worked tirelessly to provide for Dana and his sibling, Kelly White. The family later moved to Las Vegas, where Dana completed high school and first crossed paths with Lorenzo Fertitta, who even Dana didn't know would become one of his greatest friends. However, school wasn't Dana's thing. He dropped out of 2 colleges during their first semester, more interested in making a buck than hitting books. During this time, Dana did all kinds of jobs like laying asphalt, working as a bouncer at a bar, or being a bellhop at the Boston Harbor Hotel. Till this time, Dana was struggling to make ends meet, but amid all the chaos, he learned a skill that would change everything. It was something that would take him from being a nobody to being a game changer in the world of MMA. At 17, Dana learned boxing and decided to go all in, opening his own gym with the dream of becoming a professional. However, this passion was short-lived, not because Dana changed his mind, but because he didn't have a choice. That's because the notorious mobster Whitey Bulger and his associate Kevin Weeks threatened Dana, forcing him to leave Boston for Las Vegas in the 1990s.
I leave the class, I go out and start talking to them, and they start asking me if I know who they are. And I don't. So, and it's not Whitey, but it was Kevin. I'm sure you've heard of Kevin Weeks.
But Dana had just left Boston, not his passion. In Vegas, he got back into the game, running boxer-sized gyms and jiu-jitsu training under John Lewis. He teamed up with Lorenzo Fertitta and his older brother Frank Fertitta, and before long, Dana was the manager of promising and rising players like Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. Then came a fateful meeting with Bob Merowitz, the owner of Semaphore Entertainment Group, which at that time was UFC's parent company. However, Bob didn't envision UFC to remain as the SEG's subsidiary and had plans to sell the struggling organization. With this purchase, the future of UFC as we know it would have never existed. But Dana was as stubborn then as he is now, and he wasn't about to let UFC slip away. He instantly pitches an offer to buy UFC to his friend, Lorenzo, who was a Nevada State Athletic Commissioner at the time. And so, in January 2001, the Fertitta brothers acquired UFC for $2 million, and the company soon became a subsidiary of Zuffa, a sports promotion company founded by Dana and the Fertitta brothers. But it was just the beginning. Apart from being installed as UFC's president, all he had was UFC's brand name and an old octagon ring. Believe it or not, Dana White's triumph started from there.
Dana White, president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Dana, congratulations on your first show. That's got to feel good.
Thank you very much, James. I appreciate it. We're very excited.
If you make a combo out of stubbornness, passion, and vision, you get Dana White. His relentless mindset and unshakable belief in his vision were crucial in transforming UFC into one of the most popular and successful ventures in sports history. Since taking charge of UFC in 2001, Dana oversaw a period of unprecedented growth, leading the company to tackle any challenge head-on and building a roster of top-tier fighters. But it wasn't just luck. The Zuffa venture, co-founded by Dana, proved to be the biggest reason for UFC's popularity, as Dana had his own sports advertising company to promote sports to an audience that craved high-octane entertainment. During the Zuffa era, UFC got corporate sponsorship and made a triumphant return to cable pay-per-view. But the success didn't stop there. Instead, it was intensifying more. UFC 40 proved to be the most critical event to date in the Zuffa era, with a sellout of 13,000 seats racking up 150,000 pay-per-view buys. UFC got almost double what the previous Zuffa events had earned. Dana's out-of-the-box approach didn't just boost the UFC's visibility, it also improved fighter compensation and benefits, solidifying the UFC's dominance in MMA. Now, the same company that started from an old octagon ring is a mainstream powerhouse at a valuation of over $7 billion. And with new and promising fighters still making their way into the UFC competitions with style and strength, this powerhouse is destined to see much more prosperity. But with great success comes greater challenges. As the UFC soared, so did the number of enemies and critics. The more Dana White achieved, the more he had to fight off hostility. Dana had a rough start in life. He came from nothing and climbed to the top, reaching a level of fame most people can only dream of. If this wouldn't drag enemies and hostilities towards one, then what will? But out of all the betrayals he faced, one stands out as the most painful. Out of all the things one can imagine, being exposed by your mother is something no one could have seen coming. But he made some enemies on his own out of his own will. Like the tough-as-nails guy he is, Dana even took a grudge with Peloton. But the Dana we know wouldn't end the grudge by just abusing the abuser. Instead, Dana would go on triggering the hell out of them, and that's what he did. As we dive deeper into Dana's I don't give a personality, it's clear that he's not the type to hold back. And that's what exactly makes him who he is. Bold, brash, and not afraid to face anything thrown at him. Dana's always been in the spotlight for his unapologetic behavior, earning him the nickname Savage Boss. Apart from having balls of steel, he's never been shy to speak his mind, whether it's taking shots at Peloton or diving headfirst into controversies. But journalists aren't the only breed victim to his unfiltered savageness. With his sharp tongue, Dana has left many people speechless, with the greatest ultimatum of recent times being, "We don't do anything woke here." Dana has dedicated his life to UFC. The audience he has isn't woke, nor are the fighters. UFC is a place where wokeness wouldn't survive, and Dana intends to keep it that way. For Dana, UFC's focus will always be on its fighters and the sport itself, steering clear from any activities that would take UFC away from its core goals. It doesn't matter if you love or hate Dana White. One thing's for sure, he always respects his fighters and his company. Dana's respect for the game led him to expand beyond just the UFC spotlight. He now owns several other organizations like Thrill One Sports and Entertainment, Nitro Circus, Nitro Cross, and Street League Skateboarding. But Dana's influence doesn't stop there. The partnership with Prime Hydration, owned by Logan Paul and KSI, and the groundbreaking merger of UFC and WWE into a single company, TKO, are major breakthroughs. With UFC being valued at $12 billion and WWE at $9 billion, the valuation of the new entity would be a staggering $21 billion. Dana's reach in the sports world is bigger than ever, and his empire continues to grow. This means Dana White has big plans for the UFC. But right now, all eyes are on the UFC 306, set for September 14th in Las Vegas. This event could be a defining moment in UFC's history, the first major milestone since the merger with WWE. But that's not all. Dana is also doubling down on investing in local talent, handing out more bonuses to fighters just like the $50,000 bonus he awarded to Wong Kong after her impressive debut. One thing's for sure, Dana White's legacy goes far beyond the octagon. He's the king of the ring, who revolutionized how MMA is seen by athletes and entrepreneurs. That's all for today, folks. See you next time, and subscribe for more interesting content.